In the previous parts of this theory, we established that 4 precursor stones, one for each colour, exist in the Jak and Daxter universe, and the 4 could be united to produce light eco. We thought this was Golem Maya's plan, but why would they want light eco? And how does dark eco relate to this? I'm Ninja ONC.
And I'm some Irish dude.
And this is the series with theories.
I have spent my life searching for the answers that my father and my father's fathers failed to find.
Before we go any further with this video, I'd just like to say that I strongly recommend watching part 1 and part 2 because I really want views. And also it would make this make a lot more sense. And don't worry, we are going to wait, we'll still be here. You can go and watch them now, and we'll still be here when you get back. Okay, so far, we've proven that the green stone is not the only precursor stone. And there are in fact at least 4 different ones, each representing one of the 4 coloured eco-types.
Now that we have 4 eco stones, we have to consider what we would do with all of them. As I mentioned at the end of the previous part, combining all 4 stones could create light eco. But how would this work? When we thought about the stones and what they did, none of them did anything independently. They all had to be part of a larger machine. So what larger machine could hold the 4 stones? And could it do something to combine them all? Well, as it turns out, there is one thing. One very big thing. Golem Maya's citadel has 4 pillars, each being used to send a beam of eco to the top by the sages in the Precursor legacy, producing light eco.
So how did Golem Maya end up with the citadel? And why didn't they just make light eco with it? Well, to answer the first question, the building just clearly looks like it was made by the precursors. So maybe they just used it first and Golem Maya happened to stumble across it one day and thought, you know what, that looks cool, that's mine now. But Ninja, I hear you asking, why would the all-powerful precursors need a special device in Castle just to make light eco? Isn't that sort of like their big fancy thing?
Well, at the start of the Precursor legacy, in Samus's monologue, he says, "How did they harness eco, the life energy of the world?" And one word to this stuck out to me, or us, or him, or them. Harness does not mean create, it means control. So, we, or he, or I, or you, began to think that the precursors did not create light eco from scratch, but instead used some ancient technology to produce it, using the 4 stones they created. Additionally, proof for this lies at the polar opposite side of the trilogy. At the end of Jak 3, when Jak, Daxter, and Vegan discovered the true identity of the precursors, the Ox will admit that they are not as powerful as everyone says. No one would worship them if they knew, so maybe they aren't powerful enough to make light eco unassisted.
So that's our explanation for how light eco is produced, by combining all 4 eco types within some machine powerful enough to control and create new eco. And that's great and all, but Golem Maya don't really make much light eco, do they? All we see is dark eco, so what happened there?
It's true that Golem Maya never produced light eco. In fact, they weren't even sure it existed or not until the end. But it is also true that they never had a source of all 4 eco types. Golem Maya most likely kidnapped the sages to abuse their eco powers, keeping them in cages and doing horrible things to them, and forcing them to power some ancient precursor technology thing within the citadel, which we now know to be a light eco maker. Samos said that the other sages haven't turned the portals on in ages, implying that Golem Maya must have took the 3 sages a long time ago.
Maybe the use of 3 sages out of 4 produced impure or corrupted light eco, which we call dark eco. The ages that Golem Maya had the sages would have been sufficient to produce the amount of dark eco Golem Maya actually have between the silo and Misty Island. We only actually see the machine make light eco when Samos is also there, but the antagonists don't capture Samos until towards the end, when it's too late for them. They have no chance to power up the machine as Jak's already on their tail. Further proof that Golem Maya were making dark eco using the citadel comes from the positioning of the tower. The place that the product eco is actually formed is directly above the opening to the silo, allowing them to easily store it when it just drops straight down to the floor. We thought this was a pretty solid explanation for how Golem Maya produced so much dark eco.
The other aspect of Dark Eco that sprang to mind was the Dark Makers, the evil counterpart of the precursors. We find out that they are actually twisted, corrupted precursors who turned that way after being exposed to the power of Dark Eco. The Dark Eco probably came from the precursors who, as we said earlier, had to use complex technology to produce Light Eco. It is unlikely that they were successful the first time, so they probably at some point did something similar to Golemaya, not using all 4 eco types correctly, and thus incorrectly producing Dark Eco.
The precursors that became Dark Makers may have found this Dark Eco and realised the power that it holds. After this they would have been like, hey, that's pretty good. Started to produce it themselves and created their own little spooky Dark Eco cult thing, and they eventually become overwhelmed with darkness and become known as the Dark Makers, and the precursors are scared of them and all that.
We see that Dark Eco provides many benefits in terms of offense, whereas Lyco seems to be more defensive, which explains why the precursors would have been so cautious when it came to the Dark Makers, as they knew they could only defend themselves for so long before their powers were overwhelmed by the dark powers of the Dark Makers, and they were eventually defeated.
So let's recap as we bring the last part, and this time we actually mean the last part, of our theory to an end. In part 1, we proved the existence of more precursor stones, and theorised about the true power of the red, green and blue gems that were sent to Jack's home planet by the mysterious precursors.
In part 2, we, or not me, talked about Vigor's power, the origin of the Metalheads, and the dark truth of Mars' involvement in the Huracan War. All of this came together to explain the existence of a yellow precursor stone, completing the set of a packet of Smarties. The eco colours.
Lastly, in this part, we explained how Light Eco is made using ancient precursor technology, because the precursors aren't really actually that powerful. Following this, we could explain how Golemaya produced their vast amounts of Dark Eco found all around the world, and surprisingly similarly, how the Dark Makers were actually created. So that brings us to the end of the theory, or I guess at this point theories, and I just want to say thank you to everyone who watched all the way through this, and even those of you who just watched this part, even though we specifically told you to go and watch part 1 and 2 first. I hope this kind of made a bit of sense if you didn't for whatever reason, and special thanks to Samuels0616 and Mr. Zenobyte himself for helping me out with this project. I couldn't have done it without them, without their help. And since Zenobyte is here right now, how about you tell the viewers a bit more about your channel, for those of you who haven't already found you yet?
No. Oh, alright then. If you'd like to hear more of my monotone Irish voice, then I read audiobooks. No, I don't, actually.
That'll do. So make sure to subscribe to both Zenobyte and Samuels. I'll link their channels both in the description or on a card, or it'll be somewhere on the screen, I guess, I don't know. And maybe if you're feeling super generous, you could even drop a sub to my channel and it'd be much appreciated. And for those of you wanting to see more Ninja ONC content in between uploads, make sure you follow me over at Twitch. I stream, a few times a week, generally Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, at twitch.tv/NinjaONC. And join the channel's Discord server, that's linked below. You can, chill with the rest of the community and all of that, and get regular updates about how I'm still alive. As I said before, thanks again to everyone who helped out with these videos and watched all the way through. Look forward to seeing you next time on the Ninja ONC channel.